Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saints Insider Postgame Show. My name is Zach Ewing, live here from the Caesars Superdome, here to recap a 24-10 Saints loss to the Atlanta Falcons here in NFL Week 12. I will be joined shortly in probably what's going to be an abbreviated postgame show just because of newspaper deadlines and the 3:25 p.m. kickoff, complicating matters, but Luke Johnson, Matthew Paris, our beat writers, and our Times-Picayune columnists, Jeff Duncan and Rod Walker. I anticipate them stopping by at least for a couple of minutes on their way out of the Saints locker room and post-game press conference area here in the next several minutes. In the meantime, we'll take your comments and questions live. I saw quite a few of them coming in on our YouTube channel just while we were waiting for the stream to start. So my man Spencer, who is producing this show, is going to send some of those to me. I'll read them on the air, respond to any questions, and we will just have a conversation here about, look, what is quite frankly a bad football team. And I think we all, myself included, got fooled a little bit into thinking maybe the Saints are turning a corner here. They beat the Carolina Panthers 2 weeks ago. They had the bye week to sort of improve on some things and fine-tune some things. The back half of the schedule looked bad, starting with a Falcons team that was without starting quarterback Michael Penix, that was without top receiver Drake London, and they got beat by 2 touchdowns at home. So that is just sort of a reminder of where this New Orleans Saints franchise is right now. They fall to 2-9 on the season. Things are the corner has not been turned. Things are not magically better. That doesn't mean the Saints are losing the rest of their games or anything. I think you'll see some up and down in their performances, but this was certainly a down spot. So some comments rolling in. Brian Cavett, this team is hard to watch. Groupie has to go. Certainly going to talk about Blake Groupie and what has been probably a long time coming. 2 missed kicks today in the first half. Really, really important kicks as you look at the way this game developed. If you had 6 more points tacked onto the Saints total, even 3 more at various points in the game, that would have changed the way both teams played, and the Saints probably have a chance to win this game at the end instead of really being done for with 6 or 7 minutes left in the game, and the Falcons able to run out a lot of clock and not give the Saints offense any chance. Having said that, I don't think Blake Groupie is the reason they lost this game, and if you're listing the Saints' problems, I don't think he's near the top of the list. I mean, yeah, I think he's going to go this week. I think he's either going to be cut or he'll be demoted to the practice squad and be exposed to some other team wanting to sign him. But I think you give Charlie Smith a chance off your practice squad to kick next week in Miami. I don't see any reason to keep going with Groupie. I believe that is 8 missed kicks this season. That's too many. Atlanta had Younghoe Koo missed, I think, 3 kicks in the first 2 weeks of the season, and they cut him right then and there. Now, granted, that was after sort of some struggles last year, but we're talking about a guy who was a Pro Bowl kicker in 2023 in Younghoe Koo. They cut him. They signed Zane Gonzalez. Zane Gonzalez was pretty damn good today. He hit a 54-yarder, hit 3 field goals for the Falcons. He was a weapon for them, and Groupie was the opposite. So Saints have a lot of problems. Groupie is definitely one of them. He's probably a pretty easy one to fix, honestly, because you don't even have to cut him. You could just put him on the practice squad, let him see if he can figure out whatever his issues are on the side, and let Charlie Smith kick for a week at least and see how he does. So, yeah, I do agree with that. Collins Bean says the coaching is very disappointing. And then related to that, Chad Gage, why do we try to get too cute in the red zone with Taysom? All of those are related questions. Okay, the Saints did not score an offensive touchdown today. Their 10 points came from a field goal that Groupie finally did hit, a 33-yarder that was after a red zone failure. And then the other 7 came from Justin Reed's pick 6, which is clearly the highlight of the day in the second quarter. Cut the Falcons' lead to 10-7. Kind of gives the Saints a lot of hope. But the Saints just, I mean, they reached the 1-yard line twice on their first 2 drives of the second half and come away with a grand total of 3 points. First time they were actually just outside the 1-yard line. On 4th and goal, they go for it. Take Tyler Shuck off the field. Bring Taysom Hill in. I don't hate that. Like, I don't think that's always a terrible idea to take your starting quarterback off the field. But we saw this in Buffalo when Rattler was the starting quarterback. They took him off the field. or it didn't take him off the field, but they threw a pass with Chris Olave instead, and it ended up being intercepted. So that was, I actually didn't mind that play call, to be honest with you. It wasn't very well executed. This one, I did mind the play call. Like, if you're going to bring Taysom in from they needed maybe 4.5 feet, 4 feet for the touchdown there, and instead of just trying to burrow him up the middle behind your big uglies and let Taysom drive his legs and try to get to the goal line, you roll him out in a spread. You spread everybody out, then roll Taysom out to the right and make him kind of throw a pinpoint pass that gets knocked down. I didn't like that at all. The Saints defense did get the stop, forced the punt, and the Saints get all the way back down, this time inside the 1 yard line. And now early in the fourth quarter, still 16-7 Atlanta. And second and goal from inside the 1 yard line. And Saints get stuffed. Tyler Shuck this time on the field tries to sneak. He gets stuffed. And then on third down, they bring Taysom back in. I think they were going to run him this time. It was a little hard to tell because Luke Fortner's snap was way over Taysom's head. Taysom actually made a pretty athletic play to pick up the ball on the bounce and fire it out of bounds, fire it out the back of the end zone just to get to fourth and goal. But he kind of gets a borderline intentional grounding call. I thought it was borderline whether he was out of the pocket or not. He was right there. They showed it on the broadcast. They drew a line where the left tackle was where Kelvin Banks started the play, and he was right on that line. So it's kind of a 50-50 call. Doesn't go the Saints' way, so they lose 10 yards and the down, and then they have to kick the field goal. So Groupie kicks the field goal. So you got down to the 1.5 yard line and then down inside the 1 yard line on back-to-back possessions and come away with 3 points. And then, of course, right after that, Atlanta gets called for an intentional grounding on the first play of their next drive. It's a big loss, 13-yard loss. Kirk Cousins holds onto the ball way too long. 2nd and 23, 16-10. Dome's actually pretty loud. Saints have a chance to get the ball back, down 6 points in the fourth quarter. Chance for Tyler Shuck to really put his stamp on his first home start. Instead, little screen pass to Bijan Robinson goes for 32 yards from the 19 to the Saints 49. He just has a free run up the sideline. Demario Davis actually made a heck of a hustle play to get him from behind, or else that could have been worse. And then on the very next snap, Cousins goes up top, and Darnell Mooney beats the safety, catches the ball at about the 2, and he's in the end zone, touchdown. So 2 plays, 81 yards, and at that point, it's just about game over. Bijan Robinson runs in the 2-point conversion. That's your final score, 24-10. Saints never really threatened again. So yeah, it's the sort of things bad teams do, right? Like, were the Saints completely outclassed in this game? No, weren't completely outclassed. Kirk Cousins is not a Pro Bowl quarterback anymore or anything close to it. Bijan Robinson, probably the best player on the field. Falcons pass rush got home plenty of times. James Pierce, the guy that they gave up next year's first-round pick for, which is a painful trade for Falcons fans, but he does look like he's going to be a pretty good player. He had 2 sacks today. So the Falcons, the Saints got outplayed, but it was more just, it's the little things, right? It's the failures inside the 10-yard line. It's 2nd and 23, and you let a guy get loose on a screen because you get fooled, and there was like a backside blitz on the play, and the Falcons had the play called to the other side. Then you get beat up top on the next play. It's missing field goals. The end of the half scenario where it's the Saints get the ball down 13-7 with 2 minutes left in the first half, and they get the ball first to start the second half. So I know every single one of you Saints fans is thinking, hey, score here, even if it's just a field goal. Get the ball first in the second half. Score again, even if it's just a field goal. And you're in a tie game, if not with the lead, if you could score with a touchdown one of those 2 times. So you have all this optimism, and instead they drive down, and Groupie misses a field goal, his second miss, I think a 47-yarder, with 33 seconds left in the half. And so then it's the Falcons who go down, and they're able to get the Zane Gonzalez 54-yarder before halftime. So you go from saying, oh, let's get a 2-for-1 possession and tie this game up or even take the lead in the third quarter, to all of a sudden being down 2 possessions at halftime. That's poor. Part of that is clock management, although it's hard to pinpoint anything Kellen Moore did wrong there. You could argue he should have called a timeout before the Falcons field goal to save the 2-minute warning for the Saints. But I mean, as it turned out, the Saints weren't even, they had too much time. They left the Falcons 33 seconds. It's more just the execution, maybe the play calling down there once you got into field goal range. And then, of course, you just can't miss that field goal. You miss the field goal, you don't get points, and you give the Falcons good field position. Whereas if he makes it with 33 seconds left, they can kick off. Falcons are probably back at, maybe their own 25 or 30 with only, say, 27, 28 seconds left. Now we're talking about a different conversation. Very well might have been 13-10 at halftime instead of 16-7. And then you go out and have a long, long drive that takes up half the third quarter. It took 7:28 off the clock and end it with the 4th and goal failure. So it's just these little things. The coach is not good enough. The players are not good enough right now. Looking for some more of your comments. John McElroy says our offense cannot finish drives. You think? Yeah. I mean, it almost feels like they have a better chance of scoring from the 30 and hitting a long pass play or something than they do if they get inside the 10. You just start to think, oh no, how are they gonna screw this one up? Michael Skyros. The big point I make is we didn't challenge the close plays. Not sure what you mean. Do you mean like a red flag challenge, or just failure to execute? I can't think of any close play where I would have challenged if I were the Saints. 1st and goal run Tyler Shuck had, he was pretty clearly down. He was inside the 1-yard line, but his knee was down before he got to the end zone. You can't challenge that intentional grounding. It was a 50-50 call, but that's not – you can't challenge where the pocket was. That's a judgment call. So I don't know if you mean a coach's challenge, you have to tell me what play you mean there, because I can't think of anything where I thought it was just a bad miss from the coaching staff from that point. Chad Gage, show some creativity, rolling Shuck out with run pass options, etc. I mean, to be fair, they did that, right? Like I actually thought before the 4th and goal incompletion from Taysom, the play before that is actually a really big play. They're at the 2-yard line, and they did have a run pass option with Shuck and Taysom. Shuck chose to keep there. And it's always, I hate it when you go, oh, well, if he just handed it to Taysom, it would have been an easy touchdown. It's hard to say that because if he hands the ball off, the defense reacts differently, but it sure looked like Taysom would have gotten in the end zone if you had handed him the ball there. He might have had to plow over a defender at the goal line, but I think he gets in. Instead, Shuck keeps, and then it looked like he briefly had opportunity maybe to do one of those little flips he does to Taysom in the end zone and get the touchdown that way. But there's kind of a defender there. He second-guesses himself and decides to run. And he gets stopped, only about half a yard on the play. Gets down to about the 1.5-yard line, and then that sets up the 4th down. So I do think there was, you can blame play calling, and I think that's fair. But there was also some real lack of execution. Like Shuck either needs to hand that ball to Taysom or he needs to flip it to him immediately, and he gets caught in between on that 3rd and goal play. So I don't know. And then the 3rd and goal play the next time down on this end. In the 4th quarter, you just snap the ball over Taysom's head. I mean, that's not play calling. You can call the best play in the world. If the center snaps the ball over the quarterback's head, it's not going to work. I don't care if you had Vince Lombardi calling plays there, or pick the best play caller. It doesn't matter. It's not going to work if you snap the ball over the quarterback's head. So some of it's play calling, yeah. Some of it's just poor execution by the guys out there on the field. Robert Dickerson, Olave is not a number 1. He's clearly not like a top 10 receiver in the league. I think that's fair. Is he a top 30 receiver where he's a number 1? I don't know, maybe. It's close. I think I know what you're saying, that he doesn't go up and make those plays, but I do think. I think he's close. By the way, I have a red flashing light on my camera, and I don't know if that's a low battery light, but if this feed suddenly cuts off, that's probably what happened. Okay, the camera is not plugged in. We have a new setup here. Don't have a cameraman. I'm kind of by myself. So if that thing cuts out, that's what happened. And thanks for watching the post-game show. We won't get to our guys, but I'm not sure if that's what that means, or if it is, how long this thing is going to last. I can see the broadcast is still going, so that's good, but that may mean low battery. If that's what that means and the broadcast cuts off, then have a good evening, everybody, and thanks for watching the Saints Insider postgame show. In the meantime, we'll read some more of your comments. Young Fred says, shows that McCoy's missed. Sure, I mean, you're going to miss a Pro Bowl center every time, and a bad snap is the most obvious example of that, but not the only example of that. I mean, the running game, I mean, we haven't even mentioned yet. We need to mention Alvin Kamara left this game injured in the first half. It was a knee injury. Kind of awkwardly got tackled after making a catch. His lower leg got pinned underneath him, and he left the game. It looked like he stayed on the sideline for a little while. Maybe he wanted to come back in, but then he eventually goes to the locker room. He was ruled out. One bright spot, Devin Neal looked pretty good, I thought, in the second half. He ran hard. Michael Skyros saying he wanted to challenge the intentional grounding. I am 99% sure you cannot challenge the tackle box on that play. I think the only thing you can challenge on intentional grounding is, did the ball reach the line of scrimmage? The receiver in the area and the tackle box are both judgment calls. And honestly, I think even if you could, I don't think that gets overturned. He was only a couple yards outside the hash marks, and the left tackle lines up a couple yards outside the hash marks to start a play. So I don't think that there's clear evidence that he was inside the tackle box when he threw that. So I think even if you could, I don't think that one gets overturned, but I'm not 100% sure of the rule on that. Lewis Wayne says, dummies for passing on Sanders. Shedeur Sanders getting his first career victory for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, look, man, Tyler Shuck looks fine. I don't think Tyler Shuck is the problem. We'll see what happens down the road, whether Shuck or Sanders ends up having a better career. Shuck went on the road and beat somebody a couple weeks ago. Shedeur Sanders, okay, they beat a bad team on the road. Congratulations to Shedeur Sanders. I'm not convinced he's like this. I'm not even convinced he's a starting quarterback in this league, but I obviously did not see a lot of that game with this one going on. I saw he did have one touchdown pass on a screenplay, had one interception. You know, they beat a bad team, so I don't know. I don't know that we're calling anybody dummies after one game of evidence for Shedeur Sanders, but we obviously will see more going forward. So you are watching the Saints Insider postgame show. Again, I've got a blinking red light on my camera. I'm out here by myself right now. This thing dies and the feed just cuts off. That's what happened. The Saints Insider postgame show will have a premature ending tonight, but we are hoping to get Luke and Matt and Rod and Jeff Duncan on the show before that happens. Let's see what else we got. Let's read some stats from this one. A 24-10 Atlanta Falcons victory. Highlight of the day, clearly, Justin Reed's 49-yard pick six touchdown. Saints only points in this game. And I'm trying to bring up the stats here so we can look through them together. Again, Alvin Kamara leaves this game injured with a knee injury, so we will get an update on him. Devin Neal, his replacement, 7 carries for 18 yards. He also had 5 catches for 43 yards. So he was actually pretty effective in this short passing game. I'm trying to figure out why Alvin Kamara hasn't had 5 receptions in a game so far this year. They just haven't done that. Kamara only had 11 yards rushing, 4 yards receiving before he left. Tyler Shuck, 30 of 43, 243 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. That came on the last play of the game. Last real play of the game. Rating of 74.1. He wasn't good, but I don't think he was bad. Needed to see a few more plays on third down, obviously in the red zone, but they kind of took the ball out of his hands a couple of times. Did Tyler Shuck throw a pass into the end zone before that interception at the end, or before maybe the last couple plays of the game? I'm not sure. The blinking red light's going faster, so I think we